Hi there. Hello, and welcome to Reflections. I am Rom Gayoso, your host. So, first of all, I wanted to thank you so very much for investing your time with me and the guests today. Again, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you enjoy the show. That's why I'm here, and that's why the guests are here, really to have a conversation with you and make sure we're all having a good time. Before I get started, I have to, start with some housekeeping items. Let me go to that. First of all, some rules, because we are broadcasting through several different channels, and each and every one of them, they all have different sets of rules regarding chat or the use of chats or chatting. It all boils down to a few, very few things. So number one is just make sure you're polite. Just make sure you're nice. Make sure you're courteous. And there's only one golden rule is that absolutely no hate speech is allowed, right? So if you are looking through any one of the lives, so LinkedIn Live, Facebook Live, or if you're looking through YouTube Live, the chat box should be open. So in the chats, there's a space for you to share your comments, your thoughts, your questions. So I have a very special favor to ask of you. Please go ahead and comment and share your ideas. But when you're asking a question, could you please type hashtag ask in front of your question? Because I will be scrolling up and down the chat box. And if I have a hashtag ask, I can immediately, oh, that's a question. I can immediately spot the question and relate it to the guest. So we can immediately get to your question. Actually, if you don't mind, please start typing away and say hi. If you could let me know where you're watching or where you're listening this broadcast from, that would be great. So there are basically several ways for you to submit a question. First and foremost, please do use the chat. The chat box is there for us to share and share alike. If you'd like to, you can email me your question. Just send an email to editor@imcimagazine.com. I will get it. And if you are using or you have to use or you'd like to use the talk to text feature, you can also do that. Please just text +001 for the United States, area code 480-544-8372. So now, because we are talking about texting and sending messages over text, specific rules and regulations do apply. So privacy rules do apply here. I will not be recording your text number, your phone number. I will not be disclosing your phone number or your text number. If you could please just give me a name and the country where you're texting from, that would be perfect. But if you're not comfortable doing that, that's okay too. I would just relate the question as anonymous, and I can certainly share the question with the guests, and the guests will get to your questions. Wonderful. So let me just make sure there are some questions or some comments. And yes, so hello from Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you so very much. Hello, Phoenix. Perfect. So let's go back. So the first order of business today is to go through the agenda. So what are you going to be doing today? So first of all, there's going to be a very short and brief introduction, little intro about the show. Then I'm going to be welcoming 3 different guests. So the show should be a lot of fun today. I'm going to first welcome Skyler King from Markets and Markets. He's passionate about technology. He's a keynote speaker. Should be a very fun conversation. Then I'm going to introduce Fouad Benyoub from Everbridge, and he's going to talk to us about his presentations. And his topic is Lean Principles in Competitive Intelligence. Then I'm going to welcome Aijaz Houssain from Deloitte, and he's going to be talking to us about navigating uncertainties. We all want to hear that. So thank you, Aijaz, for being here. One thought in people's minds is, the world of the pandemic or the post-pandemic, depending which side of the world you are, right? So lots of uncertainty, lots of complexity. So this is a very important topic. How do we navigate those troublesome times and come out well in the end? Now, again, we do have space and time for comments and questions. But if you have that last-minute burning question, or we did not have time to address it during the first part of the stream, towards the end of the presentation, I'm going to have yet more time for Q&A. So again, if you have some last-minute burning question, we can always address that. And if there's no time at all or whatsoever during the broadcast, please leave it in the comment section, either YouTube Live or LinkedIn Live or Facebook Live. Leave the comment in there. I will get to it. I will relay the question to the guests. They will answer, and I'm gonna post it back to you, so you will get an answer one way or another. Then I'm gonna leave you with some upcoming events. What are the next scheduled shows? Some of the topics. So when you are seeing this presentation today, you can go back and look at what's upcoming, and there are more talks, more guests, more fun things to have. So I got some more comments. Wonderful. Hi, hello from Orlando, Florida. Hi, folks. Welcome. I'm very happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us from Facebook Live. Okay. So let's get to the introduction first. Okay, wonderful. So this is a short introduction, a little bit about the show. So Reflections is really the live stream partner of IMCI Magazine. We are on online publication. You can find us at www.imcimagazine.com. Again, we are an online publication in the United States under registry 2769-0008. And we are a member of Edelweiss America Media. A little bit about the magazine. So our focus is really on intelligence. You can think of it as competitive intelligence, as market intelligence, as economic intelligence. Certainly, there's a lot of talk about foresight methodologies, future studies. So I have lots of friends that come in and discuss several issues, not just about the current business environment, but the upcoming business environment and the not so near future. So you're going to see and find more comments and more guests to address those specific topics. Now, if you think about the magazine, what is our vision, really? So it can be summarized into one simple statement, right? Our vision is really to bring diverse perspectives into the debate. My belief and belief of many people is that the more voices we add to the debate, the better it is, the richer it is, the better our understanding really is about the environment, what's going on, and where we are going, right? Now, when you think of us competitive intelligence professionals, we do have an association. Most, if not all of us, are members of SCIP, Society of Competitive Intelligence Professionals. You can find them on www.scip.org. And because it is the professional association, you can find information about upcoming events. You can find a library. You find a blog. If you're looking for a job, actually, that is precisely the first place to go because they have several leads. And of course, networking. It's a great place for networking and getting to know other professionals. So in addition to SCIP, many of us, including some of the guests today, speak at ICI events, the Institute of Competitive Intelligence out of Frankfurt, Germany. They run fabulous events. They are slightly different from the others, so they are kind of streamed throughout the year, so you can engage in different times of the day or different times of the year. There are presentations, there are interactions, case studies. So ICI is a lot of fun. And then, of course, we have Markets and Markets, and that is an Indian success story. And by the way, in the spirit of disclosure, I would like to inform you that all of my guests, including myself, the host, we speak at Markets and Markets events. And of course, we'll be talking a little bit about not only what we discussed in prior shows, but what we will be presenting on the upcoming Markets and Markets event. So there's one for the US and there's one for Europe. Actually, there are several events, but that's one of the reasons why we're having this show, is to share what we're going to be talking about and what have we been researching, what have we been studying, and what the talk's going to be all about. Wonderful. So let's go back to the agenda. Perfect. Okay. So again, we just went through the introduction, and then I am going to bring one guest with me today. First of all, I'm going to introduce you to Skyler. Hi, Skyler.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much for your being here with all of us today. So Skyler is the Vice President North America for Markets and Markets. He is very passionate about technology. That's why I said I have to get Skyler in the show. He's a very interesting guy. He has lots of knowledge about AR, about VR, about AI. And he's one person that I can go to and ask those kinds of questions. So first of all, I don't know if I miss anything. So I'd like you to say just a few words about yourself. And if you could say a few words about Markets and Markets.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much again for having me. Happy to speak a little bit here towards markets in general, what makes us unique, and to myself in general. When it comes to market intelligence and competitive intelligence, I think I have a unique background because the beginning of my tenure was spent at a company that really is a technology leader when it comes to understanding PR and marketing from a listening perspective. I spent a lot of time really from that perspective, getting to understand what companies care about from more so a competitive intelligence and a listening and kind of ecosystem overwatch perspective, right? But as I've transitioned more with Markets and Markets, a company that really specializes in revenue impact and operationalizing that information for market intelligence and competitive intelligence and tying it more to business plans, I think it definitely has helped when it comes to understanding the needs that my clients run into, especially from that technological impact when it comes to, again, certain things like creating a single source of truth or handling, as we're going to be talking about, as you mentioned in our presentation here at Markets, the idea of information overload, why we need to have a man-machine combination to even help with such a thing, considering the amount of information that we have. So again, very pertinent topics, and happy to be here to be able to help with that. To put a bow on what you had asked though previously, a little bit more about Markets and Markets. We really, again, our revenue impact partners, we help to basically look at market research information and competitive intelligence research information and help the clients that we work with house all of that in a single source of truth that's as easy to search as Google. So that's really what the heart of our mission has been, is to partner with organizations and kind of help them understand the competitive landscape that they operate in for all of these different industries that they now kind of play within, as a result of the expanse of technology and how it's interconnected a number of markets that didn't used to be connected before, which I would say is definitely a growing challenge for a lot of the people that we work with or that I speak to, for sure. So I hope that gives a little bit of an introduction for us here.
Yeah. So we do have an upcoming conference, right? The Markets and Markets US conference is coming up. And you do have a panel. So, can you tell us a little bit about the panel? What are you going to be discussing?
Absolutely. So the structure of it is going to be a little bit about why talk about human versus machine understanding and analysis within competitive intelligence and market intelligence. Really, why is it so important today as opposed to at any time in the past, right? And there's a number of kind of areas that we could dive into in that, but obviously we're in a situation of data overloading, data quantity that frankly humans can't handle. So it's very important and imperative for organizations and people alike to be able to rely on technologies and AI and cognitive computing solutions, text analytics solutions to basically help sort through that and ensure the quality of that data is not being lost in translation. Right. From there, we're going to look at how we're addressing this. What are the solutions that are in place, whether through a solution like Markets and Markets or other solutions that are out there, right? And then we can look at that intelligence cycle. What are the challenges and what opportunities are created, and what are some of the issues that we face when we look at gathering, qualifying, and disseminating that information within teams or to the greater public, whoever it is that we're trying to communicate that to as an audience. So those are some of the topics that we'll be tackling when it comes to market intelligence and competitive intelligence and our right to play within that.
Wonderful. Now, you do interact with several of the top Fortune 500 companies, and I really have to ask you, what exactly keeps your clients up at night? What's in their minds?
That's a great question, especially framed within kind of the competitive intelligence and market intelligence landscape, right? With a lot of the Fortune 500s, you would imagine that there's such dominant players within the industries that they do play within that they might not need, or they might have a good handle on all the information that they need access to, right? But it really comes down to having a single source of truth that they can really rely on and understand. If something like a COVID-19 comes up or a major industry event that really challenges a lot of the information that they may have gathered previously, how do you make sure that this is up to date and it basically stays as relevant and accurate as possible, right? So I would say that having that single source of truth and making sure that they have a place to collate and disseminate that data is definitely one of those challenge points. But there are a couple more that they do share pretty consistently. I can dive into this a little bit more, but just to make it as brief as possible, understanding the cascaded ecosystem that they all play within. To kind of address this, we live in a world where 20% of a company's revenues in the next 5 to 10 years will become 80% of their revenues. We're no longer in a period of time where companies can rely on 80% of their revenues to carry them forward for decades to come. As a part of that, they need to address new technologies, new partnerships, and new markets to enter into in order to stay ahead of the curve and stay more profitable. With that comes major challenges in understanding who those clients are that they're servicing and who their clients are, right? That they can be helping them grow within. So if you can help your clients help their clients grow, we know that that will generate a great impact for you as an organization. So really understanding the cascaded ecosystem of not only what's affecting your clients, but what's affecting your clients' clients, and making sure that all stays up to date can be a massive challenge. If you think about the number of companies and industries that includes, it's this monumental task, right? So they need a solution that would rely on a technology solution that can draw those connections and make it easier to evaluate those interconnections between the industries and the players that they're evaluating. Now, beyond that, I did kind of hint at this before, but as challenges like COVID-19 or a lack of semiconductors, right, present challenges, and as companies try to stay as profitable as possible, they might look at entering new technologies or new markets. And as you do that, it can be very challenging to, again, have all of the market research at your fingertips available for all of the companies that play within, let's say, like cloud computing, if you were traditionally into semiconductors and electronics.
So do you think technology will be the savior of the day? So, for example, we are going through so many challenges. It's such a complex and volatile environment. Can you share some thoughts and ideas in this complex environment? How can we go about, finding new revenue streams?
Exactly. Hey, perfect question. And again, I appreciate the repositioning there. So the way that our solution seeks to do it, at least, right? I know that there are definitely others out there, but we want to provide an ecosystem view where you're able to look at all of the emerging markets and the high growth markets that are attached to different industries or different topics and technologies, and be able to evaluate those adjacencies. And again, that's part of the reason it's so difficult from a competitive and a market intelligence standpoint today, right? Is because so many of the technologies that we need to look at are affecting so many different industries. So to have a tool that can come and save the day, and we can look at the different application areas for, let's say, IoT, right, or blockchain, or these emerging technologies, and see all of the different areas that it affects and the revenue shifts that are generated as a result, that's immensely valuable. If you think about the amount of time that a human would need to put into this and lifting and the heavy lifting and the dissection of the information outside of then disseminating that to the entire team, right? It's just a Herculean task. So to have a system that uses artificial intelligence to draw those connections, to say, hey, if you're looking at this market, these are the technologies that you need to be considering. These are the companies that you need to be considering. And here's what those companies are doing. That's immensely valuable. And it expedites that analytics process in a way that really humans were never able to achieve before. And I think it gives us a great deal of value when it comes to making those next level business decisions and really making impactful revenue decisions for your organization.
Now, if you want to be as smart as you are, or close to as smart as you are about technology, what do you recommend for the listeners here? Where do you go to learn a little bit more about technology, or if I want to know a little bit more about business uses of VR? Is there any specific place or places you would recommend, or books, or tell me what should I read? Where should I go?
Absolutely, Ram. I appreciate the question. And it can be tricky because, again, as we already talked about, right, there's like so much information overload. So I'll try not to give you too many sources, but I'm a major fan of podcasts. I'm a big fan of being able to listen to them, whether at the gym or in transit. So there's a few that I do enjoy. I like Bloomberg Odd Lots, frankly, a lot. They tend to cover a number of different topics and talk about what's affecting the industry from a number of different perspectives. They do cover AR and VR. They cover semi and electronics. They cover blockchain technology. So again, as the name kind of suggests, right, they cover a number of different technologies, and it covers the board. And I really enjoy the layout of that show. The other one that I like, which is a little bit less frequent, is actually a podcast called For Your Investment, FYI. It's a podcast run by ARK Invest, but there are similar other podcasts as well that do really focus on emerging technologies and the challenges and opportunities that are being created as a result. I certainly wouldn't be a technology person if I wasn't well invested into, say, stocks and cryptocurrencies and stuff of that nature as well. So I definitely like to stay on top of that type of news, and those outlets certainly help with that type of research. But again, I know that that's only two of a sea of information that you have access to.
No, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for being with us today. And I'm really and sincerely looking forward to your panel in the conference. Yeah. So again, thank you so very much, Skyler.
Hey, thank you for having me. Again, excited to hopefully have any of the audience members here as a part of or as an audience to that panel as well. We're excited to dive into these topics a little bit deeper and really go into how we can help and really the, again, challenges and opportunities that exist within the field as a result. So thank you again for having me, Rob.
Thank you so very much. Okay, so let's go back to the agenda. Wonderful. So we had our introduction today, and we had our first guest, Skyler King. I hope you enjoyed, and his panel will be very, very interesting. I can't wait to see, what kind of things he's going to be presenting over there. Of course, he has a lot more time than he presented in the show, so that should be wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna transition a little bit, and I'm gonna introduce my next guest. Okay, let's get out of here, and let me bring Fouad. Hello, Fouad. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Rom. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for being here. I've been really wanting to talk to you for such a long time. So Fouad is a keynote speaker, really book author. He has a new book out, and I hope, Fouad, you can come back because I look at the book and it's so very interesting. I think it's going to take an entire hour for us to go through the book. I have a very special friend who is actually writing a book review. So I'm hoping to bring a few people to kind of dive into your book and understanding a little bit more of your thoughts and ideas and that labor of love that you created, that is your book. So I want to say a few words about you. So in terms of introduction, he is the director of strategy for Everbridge, and he's very passionate about a very important topic. So he works very hard to bridge or make the connection between intelligence and decision making. So not intelligence for the sake of intelligence, so not information for the sake of information, but information that is actionable, that we can turn around and we can actually apply. So I know, and I mentioned that before, but you just presented at the ICI conference, right? And your topic was competition is the solution. Could you please tell me a little bit about what was that all about?
Sure. Well, first, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you to ICI for giving me that opportunity to present. Thank you to Skip also. I've been a long time member of Skip, and I love all the content they are providing. Thank you, Ram, for this opportunity and the rest. And for the session I presented or the presentation I made, it was about that notion of competition is behind failure. Whenever there is a problem in the market, we can't reach some clients or prospects, we target the competition. We think that it's the competition, and most often than not, it's not about the competition. It's first about the organization itself. And the whole topic was about demystifying that notion that whenever we have a problem, we can go against the competition. First, we start with our own problems. There's a good saying that says, when there is no enemy within, the enemy is outside, can do us no harm. And I really believe in that. And so in the session, I was exploring what are the key ingredients for companies who succeed and others failing, and why they fail. And the list would be very long, but I try to mention a few key elements for failure, for success, and how competitive intelligence can help with that. Because it's not just knowing about the competitor. We need to be a good observer of our own organization. For example, for the product, CI people somehow need to know the company's product before going to the competitor's product. It's same for the business, it's same for the industry or the space they are operating in. So yeah, it was about how companies fail, how they can win, and how can competitive intelligence help with that. So this is basically, and there was a good example about ice cream wars.
Oh, I want to hear that. I'm going to have to go back to ICI and look at that recorded event.
There's a recording, yeah.
Good. Now, your upcoming topic, right, at the next Markets and Markets conference is going to be lean and competitive intelligence, right? So you're recommending us to bring something new into competitive intelligence. So why exactly should we bring lean or say agile into competitive intelligence?
Yeah, that's a good question about why lean and competitive intelligence, because we talk a lot about information overload. We maybe talk less about work overload for CI professionals. What do I mean by that? We start doing a good job in competitive intelligence within any organization, and the requests start to come our way. And very quickly, if you do a good job, you will be overwhelmed with those requests. And you don't know exactly how to prioritize, which one goes first, which one goes second, etc. So this is just a simple situation where organization is important, prioritization is important. And it happens that I was exposed to lean methods and agile or lean principles, agile methodology, and things like that. And I was thinking, why not using it in competitive intelligence? Because it can really help, not just for the day-to-day work of CI professionals, but also to design new CI programs or optimize them, or sometimes maybe pivot or persevere for some CI program. Sometimes the CI program is here for a few years, it's producing some results, but it's not the best we can get from that program. So the idea is how to make sure that we are, let's say, applying the Pareto rule, 20% of effort bringing the 80% of results. And this is what it is about when we apply lean, to cut the noise or cut the waste of effort in competitive intelligence. All key intelligence topics are not created equal, and we need to make sure that we are really working on what can bring the most value for the organization and for customers from an intelligence standpoint. And that goes back to your point about bridging intelligence and business decisions. It's not about being an intelligence router or dealer of intelligence inside the organization. It's not just about disseminating the intelligence. It's about getting into that decision-making cycle where the intelligence analyzed well with some recommendations can really shape some business decisions to the best in the best interest of the organization. And we can do that if we are all the time running after requests. You can have requests from marketing, from sales, from product, from anyone in the organization. And the ultimate goal is to serve these teams, all of them, but in the right way and working on the most valuable thing. That's what it is about when we're talking about lean principle and applied to competitive intelligence, to help with that.
Okay, so can we talk about, and I think you mentioned a few of them, but some very specific practical examples, and you talked about the overload. So we get so many requests, right? As CI professionals, so many requests come in.
Yeah.
So could you explain how, let's say, design thinking or Kanban could be used to help CI professionals?
Sure. Well, I discovered, for example, the approach of design thinking is more about creating, let's say, CI programs adapted to the organization. All organizations are not equal. And we have first, what I love about this approach is that we empathize first, and we understand the organization first to define the problem we want to solve. We don't start with a generic CI program and we think that it will work. Sometimes the deliverables of CI outputs for one organization will have no value for another organization. So it's always about, before seeking to fight or to do something, seek to understand. Once we understand, we define after that the problems we want to solve for the organization. We start to ideate which kind of CI outputs, deliverables, meetings, for example, what are the formats, what teams we have to talk to. We ideate on that. What we call prototyping in the design thinking process is creating, let's say, a prototype. What I call it for CI, it can be the deliverables, the meetings we will have with people, and we test it with the people inside the organization. That way we can get closer to what the organization really needs in terms of market and competitive intelligence, not going broad and maybe we miss the point. For Kanban, for example, for the day-to-day, and I love the approach. You don't you don't just take any request and start working on it. You don't run with it. You keep it. And I have a very simple Kanban I use and I advise people to use. Is you have your funnel, everything going to coming your way. You keep it there and you prioritize in your backlog. Same way product teams do. You prioritize. You make sure that the key IT you're working on, for key IT stands for key intelligence topic, is really the most important and the most urgent or something like that. It's the strategic level of that request. Then you move on into working on it. So it helps with that. Of course, I would spend a whole hour talking about Kanban, but the idea is to make sure that the entry point, when you have any element, you don't just run with it and start working on it. You prioritize, you make sure that it's listed according to the value it brings. When you work on it, you make sure that you're not spending a month working on something that you can work on for a week. So the lead time is important. You define your criteria for when we can say that that key IT is ready to be presented to stakeholders. And once it's ready and presented, what kind of feedback you can get to make it done, because you don't close any key IT until let's say you have some feedback about that also. And this is something maybe new for many people, talking about each time we're presenting something, a CI output or deliverable, we seek that feedback from people to make sure that we optimize the output each time, and we optimize the overall program over time. Because the worst thing is to keep presenting outputs that nobody cares about, for example, and it's not responding to their needs. So we need to know if it's really valuable to them or not. If it's not, we adapt. And this is what we're talking about pivot or persevere over time. So yeah, these are some elements I want to share with people. Of course, it will be more specific and with some examples, but that's the goal.
So let's say I am, trying to implement or convince my colleagues we need to do a Kanban for CI. So we need to find a way to make the case or make the argument. So how can we measure efficiency gains? So let's say from a Kanban or from any lean approach to CI. So how do I measure the benefit?
Yeah, well, look, the benefits first is the time to deliver, time to delivery, I would call it. What would take a month, sometimes we saw it can take a week or less. You have the lead time from step to another step, and you have the cycle time also to complete the whole task. And that's important, because most often we have a request and people start to contact us to get some ETA, let's say. That's from the quantitative standpoint. From the qualitative standpoint, it's more about what kind of impact it had on the decision making according to the priority we gave it. So if there is a mismatch between what people are valuing in the decision making and the priority we gave to that key IT, that's a metric we can follow and we can optimize over time to make sure that we don't prioritize what's not a priority or strategic priority for the organization or people. So yeah, I don't know if it helps you to get a sense of that, but there are many tools we can use to measure the efficiency of work according to let's say a cumulative flow diagram, for example. It can help you to see how many, let's say, requests are in your funnel, how many are in your backlog, how much work in progress do you have, because you don't want to have a lot of work in progress for any team member. And the beauty of this is that you can use it as a team management tool. So the whole team has access to the same Kanban, for example, and they can see all the activity of any team member, and they can see how much time it's taken to deliver it and how many items they're working on. We don't want people to be overwhelmed. We don't want them to be underwhelmed. So it's really a good management tool for CI teams, I would say.
Yeah, I did use them, but I love them. But it's always interesting to find ways to demonstrate the value, right? So it may be easy for some, maybe challenging for others. So what are they? I'm sorry.
I would say, if I would add to it, sometimes the approach is not to try to convince. It's to deploy it, to use it, and to show the results.
Show the value.
And when they see the results, they can pay the price. But if we start sometimes to try to convince people that this is the way and this is how it can work, sometimes people can't buy it until they see the results. So sometimes we start with deploying it, getting some results, and then we show the results. It's always better, in my experience.
Great. So could you name a few of the challenges that people might encounter when they try to deploy lean into a competitive intelligence, or bring lean into a competitive intelligence program?
Yeah. Well, first is knowledge about lean principles, agility in general, whether it's about Kanban or other methods. And it's before that is also the mindset of keeping it concise and cut the waste for everything. So it's knowledge, the challenge, but the good thing is that the knowledge, they can get it from outside. If there are trainings, you can call some consultants to help you out with the lean part of things. You know your work from a CI standpoint. But for the lean, agility, and things like that, you can seek help outside, but you own it at the end of the day. This is what's important. Consultants will help you to just, uh, how to say, shape it, but you shape it, you own it, and the results and the outcome, it's yours. So you can go get this knowledge outside. If there are training inside the organization, fine. But first, I'm talking about the mindset, because if we don't believe in the value of agility and the Pareto principles and things like that, it would be hard to deploy it. And people inside the organization, if it's not already familiar with these principles, it would take some time. But for that, you have Kaizen also. You can go little step by little step. You know, it's sometimes better than to go with the big project for many years, and people have a lot of expectations. You start small, you make sure that you have the results for that, and you show that result, and you continue on. So, but it can be challenging for some organization. I already saw that.
Well, I can't wait to see your presentation at the upcoming Markets and Markets. Again, thank you so very much for making the time, and I reserve the time. Please come back, because we want to talk about your book.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot for this opportunity, and looking forward to the session.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's go back to the agenda for the day. Okay, so we just spoke with Fouad. Thank you so much again, Fouad, and thank you, Skyler, for talking with us today. And then I want to introduce my next guest, Aijaz Houssain. So let me bring him in. Hi there, Jazz. How are you doing today?
Hi, Ram. I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you? Thank you for the opportunity as well as having me here. And especially thanks to all your audience and listeners who tuned in today.
Thank you so much. So, I have to, set up the frame of our discussion. I mean, the pandemic, it's in everybody's minds, right? The uncertainty, the pandemic, all those things. And I know you are a top researcher. Thank you so much for setting time aside to be in the show. A top researcher at Deloitte. You have some very interesting specialties. You talk about manufacturing, you talk about energy, you research several different sectors. So I think you have kind of a panoramic view. You have all the depth, but also you have the panorama. So you know what's going on, right, in all those different sectors. I know that your topic for the upcoming Markets and Markets conference is about resilience, right? And that specifically talks about navigating the disruption, right? So could you illumine that a little bit? So what kind of actions companies did take that actually helped them weather the pandemic or the disruption?
Yeah, so if you look back what happened and how certain companies navigated the pandemic as well as the following disruption in terms of economic slowdown, I think the common theme is that they all planned and invested in anticipation of such disruptions or events, right? So they did scenario planning, they kind of did some kind of simulations, and they basically linking your strategy and risk management to such an extent that they were better positioned to basically respond to any certain disruptions or events, and then able to recover and thrive, right? So I think in a nutshell, successful organizations or businesses and teams, they plan for all types of outcomes, both short and long term. So they did not expect that only certain events will happen. Second is as they work, they work with different partners or vendors. They kind of collaborated and remove those silos, which typically organizations or businesses operate in. So they've collaborated and partnered with different companies or different industries to drive more innovation so that they can manage those disruptions better than their competitors. And finally, adaptability is a key to survival in disruption, right? So I think it holds true for organizations, it holds true for any sort of teams or even individuals, right? So if individuals and organizations are adaptable, they are able to kind of navigate this pandemics or in such disruptions, right? So I think if we look back, the companies or the sectors or the companies in certain sectors which did well, it's all about being able to adapt to the new outcomes and how you kind of able to navigate, right? So I think basically scenario planning, planning for any kind of event, and having a response strategy for such events.
Now, a segue to that kind of question. So it was not the first pandemic. It was not the first disruption. I hope it is, but certainly will not be the last.
Yeah.
So what can businesses do to prepare for the next big thing?
Yeah, so I think two things, right? So one is basically align your strategy to the changing customer needs, right? So I think the disruption could not be only in a major event, right? So it could be a slow disruption where your end markets, your consumers, your customers keep changing, right? So I think you have to implement processes that enable your business or your particular unit to easily redeploy all the resources to different changing needs of the customers or the end markets. That's one. Second is be able to diversify your target markets or revenue streams, right? So you continuously use innovation to create new products and new services which kind of address the evolving customer needs. Third, I would say continue to increase the use of advanced technologies, the digital technologies like the Industry 4.0 technologies, to basically enable your organization or your business to create those new business models and also create new opportunities, right? So there might not be a market opportunity existing as of now, but who's stopping you from creating a new opportunity? I think you use advanced technologies such as digital twin, advanced analytics, 3D printing, so to create those kind of opportunities which doesn't exist today. In terms of workforce is a big challenge. As we can see, there is a big war for talent going on across the globe, be it US, be it emerging markets, be it Europe. So I think invest in your employees, invest in upgrading their skills, have trainings or rotational programs to basically enable your workers to reskill for the skills of the future, and also provide your employees with a flexible working options, have a good work-life balance so that they feel empowered as well as they feel that they are able to do some creative work, right? And finally, what impacts companies is the supply chain disruption, right? So internally, you might do certain things in terms of focusing on building operational efficiencies, creating innovative products. But if your supply chain on whom you're relying on doesn't act or respond well to the changes, you also go down, right? So I think try to diversify your supply chain across multiple partners, multiple vendors, and also different regions, so that if there is a particular disruptive event which is specific to a particular region, you're not entirely exposed, or you're so exposed to that particular region or to the particular geography that the whole supply chain goes haywire. So I think focusing on advanced technologies, focusing on your employees, focusing on creating new markets, using innovation to drive new market opportunities, and finally kind of diversifying the supply chain is something that we all learned that have been very critical for basically evolving out of this pandemic as well as responding well to this pandemic.
So I think that overall arching theme that you talked about is about adaptability, right? Is that the key for resilience in business?
Yes, that's very key, right? So adaptability, because the economies can be disrupted, the end markets can be disrupted, the industry that an organization or a business is operating can be disrupted. So as long you foresee all the different outcomes that are possible and you have a response strategy even before such an event happens, then that enables you to be adaptable, right? So you can't just be adaptable, build adaptability without understanding what's likely to happen. So if you have a plan of how would I respond to different scenarios, different events, and what would be my response strategy and recover strategy, I think that's puts you in a better position compared to your peers, right? So I think companies, how they can build adaptability wrong is they can put a processes in place to assess whether their current strategy is good enough to withstand any unexpected market events, right? So they can focus on building a greater transparency across their own organization as well as the entire supply chain that they operate in, saying that these would be our response strategies in terms of different outcomes, right? For that, I think companies need to remove those silos that I talked about, right? Remove silos both within the organization as well as across the industry, right? So you focus on more cross-functional as well as cross-organizational collaboration, which enables you to get not only data or information from your own channels, but also from outside the channels.
Wonderful. You know what? I can't wait to see your presentation at the upcoming Markets and Markets event. Again, thank you so very much for your taking the time. I know you're fairly busy as well. Thank you so much again for taking the time to speak with all of us today. Thanks,
My pleasure,
Aijaz.
Ram. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Look forward to the panel as well as my presentation next week.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's go back to the agenda. So again, there's some comments. I found some of the questions. Thank you. Information about the book. Fouad, I'm waiting for you. We're going to talk to Fouad again about his book. Lots of comments and questions about that. And so let me go to the upcoming events. What are we working on? So in the upcoming shows, there's going to be a lot of talk about, the future of work. We've been, working from home, working from the gym, working from everywhere, working from anywhere. So specialists will be discussing the future of work. Is there still space for sustainability? So ocean sustainability. Specialists will be talking about business efforts on that area and why are they important. So my colleagues from the Association of Professional Futurists will be coming by to talk about foresight methodologies, future studies. So again, focusing on the immediate or near future, and some of them focus on the very far future. We're going to have a very special show to discuss the university cooperation partnerships, how to make them work, how to make them work better, how to engage the universities, how to draw benefit from those partnerships. Of course, we'll be focusing on technology. Technology kind of permeates all of the talks we have. It's a key tool for businesses. Because we are all avid readers, we're going to have another book review session. We're going to invite more of the authors to come back. So I'm waiting on Fouad to return. It should be an entire hour to go through his book. And then I'm waiting for one more person, Joyce Joya. She is a wonderful futurist. I had the opportunity to speak with her a couple of times. She also has a very popular newsletter that she distributes. Very interesting thoughts and ideas. And she works not just, again, on the near future, but the not so near future. And as Aijaz was talking to us today, the issue of preparedness, the issue of being more flexible, the issue of applying the tools of the trade, applying all of the scenario planning, whatever we can use to develop some kind of understanding. And Fouad was telling us about how can we become more efficient. And then Skyler was telling us, how to leverage technology. So I think it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and all of the above combined. And that's what's going to really help us become, in Aijaz's words, more resilient businesses. I hope to see you guys again at one of the SCIP, ICI, or of course the upcoming Markets and Markets events. These presenters took some time out of their very busy schedules just to share some thoughts and ideas with us. So I hope you can come and watch them again. And I see you have some more comments and questions. And of course, it's wonderful to have all of them here in sharing a little bit of their work and their passion. So if you have more thoughts and comments and questions about what you're passionate about, what do they write about, what do they research, please feel free to leave them in the comment sections, and I'm gonna get the comments back to them. So again, I hope you have enjoyed the show, and I hope you come back. Please come back, like, share, comment, subscribe, and visit us again. So I wanted to go back to the agenda. I think we still have a few more moments for some last moment comments and questions. So thank you very much. We have Dr. Aslam from Palo Alto Networks. Hoping to see you too, Dr. Aslam, here with us to talk with Fouad or Aijaz, talk something or one of your topics. You do lots of wonderful research as well. So in closing, I wanted to thank you again one more time for taking time off of your day and investing it with us. I want to thank you very specially, Skyler King, Fouad Benyoub, Aijaz Houssain for taking some time off of their busy schedule to be with us and sharing some thoughts, ideas, and kind of telling us a little bit about what they just did in different conferences and what will they be doing. So please follow them. You can find them on LinkedIn as well. They have wonderful thoughts, wonderful ideas, and that's why I feel that they have so many interesting ideas to share. I thought, well, we have to bring them into the show. Please visit us either Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, or LinkedIn. Like, comment, and share. Thank you so much for your time today. And I want to close the presentation with our institutional message. Thank you so much.